How's it going, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new Locals feature match. We have a very exciting matchup today between that of Infernoble Knight and Witchcrafters. And I believe it is Witchcrafter's first time on the channel, so pretty exciting here. But getting into it, it looks like our Infernoble player is going to pass on his first turn. Something you never, ever want to see. I did see a copy of Forbidden Droplet, and what perhaps looks like to be like a DDR in hand, so maybe bricking on some equip spells, which is something I feel like is pretty common, at least for the most part, with the newer builds of Infernoble Knight that run the Power Tool Dragon and things along those lines, just because you have to play so many equips in the main deck to sort of make that engine function properly. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I think I like my build of Infernoble Knights without Power Tool. I just don't think it's worth the added inconsistencies, although they're not super bad. But I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's just player preference. So I'm going to have to pull up some Witchcrafter cards here during this, because I am not super familiar with most Witchcrafter cards, because I've never played against the deck personally. But it looks like he's got Witchcrafter Madame Bear on the field. And he's going to follow that up with a Foolish Burial to send the Shmieta to the graveyard. And then he's going to go ahead and use its effect to banish itself from the graveyard to send one Witchcrafter card from his deck to the graveyard except itself. And it looks like he's gone and sent By Street. And I believe most of the Witchcrafter spells have effects that activate during your end phase. It says basically if you control a Witchcrafter monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can place this card face up in your spell and trap zone. And I believe others can recycle themselves to your hand. But it looks like he will be able to play By Street to the field here during the end phase. It says also, if a Witchcrafter monster you control discard to activate an effect, you can send this card from your field to the graveyard instead. So I guess it's just sort of like an ever-recurring way to make it so you don't have to discard, ideally. And that's sort of gonna, pair with Ver here, which is basically gonna say, during the opponent's turn, quick effect, or just a quick effect in general, you can discard a spell and negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. So that's a pretty good card to have, but Infinite Impermanence is also a pretty good card, I heard. It's going to be able to shut that down, no problem. And we're going to see Isolde hit the board. We've seen 2 Warriors hit the field. So you know what that means. I really hope he's going to have something to stop this, and he does, and lo and behold, it's Divine Wrath. And now, as outlandish as that may seem, Divine Wrath is actually a pretty decent card to play in a deck like Witchcrafters, mainly for the synergy that it offers when it comes to discarding your excess Witchcrafter spells from your hand to possibly be able to get them back, and also, just giving you a discard outlet and a possible way to get some extra interruptions on board. So a very nice synergistic card to play within the deck. And he's going to start things off here with the Shmieta, tributing itself and discarding a spell to special summon a Witchcrafter monster from the deck except itself. And it looks like he's going for the Hain, which says your opponent cannot target other spellcaster monsters you control with card effects. Quick effect, you can discard one spell, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls and destroy it. So getting some decent interruption on the field, but not really enough right now to essentially push for a game. And I think we're going to see Witchcrafter Holiday activate to get Shmieta back out onto the field. And swing in for some damage here from Shmieta and Hain. Which isn't a lot of damage, but it's something. 24 and 18 from both those monsters, leaving the Ver in defense as you would want to, only having 1,000 attack. It's not going to be too worth it there to push in with that, but does have the opportunity now during the opponent's turn here to be able to destroy a face-up card and also at any point be able to discard a spell to negate the effects of all face-up monsters his opponent currently controls. So it can just become basically like a Gaios. Not so much like a skill drain because it doesn't linger. It's only everything on the field currently. And we're going to see the Vare activate on that Neospace connector. Arguably, he could have maybe let him get out the Dolphin. But then again, you know, he can go right into a Soul, and then he's going to have to burn another interruption there. So I guess that's probably the better play. And then following up with Triple Tactics Talent here is pretty good. So either has the option to steal a card, rip one out of his hand, but it looks like he's going to go ahead and actually draw 2. Probably trying to find more extenders at this point. Infernoble Knight is a very explosive strategy. It does obviously require 2 warriors to get something going, but he's not able to find any of those extenders. Just needed something possibly like Heritage of the Chalice, Durendal, or Fire Flint Lady, just to be able to keep going. But he's not able to get to it, and he's just going to put everything in attack position the next turn and swing in for a game. And believe it or not, Witchcrafter is actually up 1-0 in this matchup against the Titan that is Infernoble Knight. So we're going to see Infernoble get started here, going first in game 2, starting with the Aqua Dolphin and discarding Renault and going ahead and take a peek at his opponent's hand. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and discard Witchcrafter Pottery. I believe that's the one that he's discarding. And the other Witchcrafter in his hand, the Golem Aruru, having too high a stats for him to be able to discard. And just really taking a moment to check out all the cards in his hand, because I'm sure our Infernoble Knight player has literally no idea what any of the cards do in his hand, much like me trying to commentate this and having to look up everything on the spot. So after taking a good long look at the opponent's hand, he's going to go ahead and follow up with the Infernoble Arms Durendal for that of Fire Flint Lady. And that's going to allow him to get 2 warriors onto the field. And there it is. Sold 2 Tails of the Noble Knights and let the cutscene begin. He's going to go ahead and search Red later off the first effect. And then I imagine we'll see him send 2 here, Phoenix Blade included, alongside that of Smoke Grenade, to go ahead and summon out the 6 Samurai Genba from the main deck. Now, just a little bit of, I guess Infernoble Knight talk here. I personally haven't touched Infernoble Knight too much recently, but I still think about the deck quite a bit, and every now and then kind of go back to it and make a few changes, do a few test hands with it, etc., etc. And I'm still playing TG Striker because I feel like it's still, in some cases, a little bit better. The fact that it's not a fire oftentimes hasn't come up for me. I've thought about personally adding Colt Wing into the deck as well, speaking of Despot 001, just for some added plays to be done after Nibiru and things like that. That was still a problem that I always had with the deck post ban list, was trying to figure out what to do after getting Nibiru'd on Link Cross, without playing a card like Power Tool Dragon. As good as it seems to be here, granting him a free copy of DDR, I just personally would rather maybe skip that step and just go right to something like Colt Wing, maybe go for Herald and FA Dawn Dragster, etc., etc. But the other thing I was going to mention is that I might even want to consider dropping the level 2 Warrior Tuner entirely out of the deck, and just maybe always go for Oliver off of a Sold. I'm not entirely sure. That would definitely, take a Garnet out of the deck, but of course, as always, more testing will be required. So Herald of the Arclight here, and Roland, and going to synchro with that Colt Wing and Roland for the Charles, the mighty Charles Entertainment Cheese, as I like to call him. And getting to that 3 interruption board. Obviously, the 2 Omni Negates provided from Savage and Herald, and then the interruption that will come during the opponent's turn with the Roland and Charles combo. And end phase, looks like he's going to search that of Gearfried, equipping with the Smoke Grenade, and going to equip it with a Fire Warrior from deck, either Ogier or Oliver. And it looks like we'll see Oliver here. I believe Oliver protects from destruction, which I think is probably the better card to go for here, specifically because of the Witchcrafter Hane, which I believe does offer disruption in the form of destruction. So it might be better to go for the Oliver as opposed to the Ogier, although I believe Hane targets. Yeah, targets a face-up. So I guess either or would be okay in the situation. And it looks like Smoke Grenade is going to hit the Golem Aruru out of his hand, and it will get banished because of Herald of the Arclight. And Golem Aruru, actually a very, very good card as well. I think the few times I've played against Witchcrafter or decks that have ran this card, it has been slightly problematic. Just because it's kind of like a very controlling card. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a spellcaster monster or monsters you control, or targets it for an attack quick effect, you can target one card your opponent controls or one Witchcrafter spell in your graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, return the targeted card to the hand. So a pretty decent card if you ask me, and pretty decent stats at 2,800. So it looks like he's going to go ahead and get started here with the Witchcrafter Shmieta. And this card does have a tribute for cost and discard effect. So, I mean, I guess you could let him commit and make the tributes first, then negate with the Savage. But, you know, Savage is an Omni-Negate, so I guess if you don't have to use the interruption here, it's probably better. So it looks like on that normal summon, before he has the chance to tribute it off and discard, he's going to go ahead and pop it with the Roland Charles play. We're going to see Witchcrafter Holiday attempt to activate. It's going to get negated by Savage Dragon. He's going to set 2. And it looks like he's going to attempt to use Pottery Engrave to banish it to add back one of his Witchcrafter cards in his graveyard and add it to his hand. And it looks like he'll try to add back the Holiday. And I think they might have a bit of a ruling question here, or at least our Witchcrafter player might have a bit of a ruling question. Since Savage did negate the activation of Holiday, I think he might have gotten confused with the difference between you can only use and you can only activate a card once per turn. But Witchcrafter Holiday is that you can only use, not activate. So if he did add it back, he would not be able to activate it again, even though its activation was negated. But he's also going to try to use the Pottery, I guess, or the Pottery Engrave, and he's just going to decide, you know what, it's probably better that I just negate it with Herald, so that's what he does. But he uses the other effect of Shmieta just to basically foolish another Witchcrafter, sends another Pottery, and looks like that will do it for his turn. He'll use Charles in the end phase to equip it with a Durendal, and he's going to start his turn off by tributing away the Auroradon to attempt to clear one back row. He's going to activate, looks like, a trap in response, which is the Witchcrafter Patroness, or Patronus. My bad for mispronouncing. But basically says you can target one of your spellcaster monsters that is banished in your graveyard, shuffle into the deck, and if you do, add a Witchcrafter spell from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card, then target any number of your banished Witchcrafter spells with different names, add them to your hand. You can only use each effective Witchcrafter Patronus once per turn. So pretty good card there, but it looks like possibly will be able to resolve to net him an additional card. It's not going to be too much of a threat for our Infernoble Knight player currently, since he's going to go ahead and put Gearfried out onto the board. That is going to be game right there if he does not have anything to stop it. The Trap 6 Trap Hole Nightmare not going to be able to do anything, unfortunately. Since he didn't decide to activate the Gearfried, there really was no need to. And looks like we're going to go into Game 3. And as we do, I want to mention a quick shout out to our sponsor over at Imperium Duelist. If you guys are interested in picking up any amazing playmats, sleeves, dice, deck boxes, binders, etc., check them out. A link to their site can be found in the description, as well as a discount code that you guys can use to save 10% off your entire order. That code is WinnerKills10OFF. And if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, do not forget to use my affiliate link to them down in the description below, and you guys will be able to support the channel just by shopping and checking out on TCG, because a small bit of the revenue from your purchase will go right back into the channel, and of course is a great way to support the channel. So we're getting things started here with the Witchcrafter Jenny, and During the main phase, Quick Effect, contribute this card and discard one spell to special summon a Witchcrafter monster from your deck except itself. So it looks like he's going to use that to go ahead and get the Vare out of the deck, and then he's going to follow up with Pot of Desires and draw into 2 more cards. And so right now has a Mass Negation, which honestly, against Infernoble Knight with some hands, that right there, especially at 2,800 defense, could literally be just enough to potentially just end a turn for an Infernoble Knight player, especially if it's something as pivotal and as simple as I can't even think of the card's name right now. I literally can't think of it right now. A connector going through. It's as simple as that. If a connector can go through, that can oftentimes be the difference of, whether or not you'll be able to do your combo if it goes through or not, etc., etc. So Vare can be very powerful. It looks like he'll be activating Patronus to shuffle 1 back and add a Witchcrafter spell. And it looks like he's going to add what looks to be Collaboration. And he's going to get started with Durendal. And he's going to go ahead and actually equip that to the Vare, since, it doesn't specify what it has to be equipped to. So it can be equipped to any monster on the field, his or his opponent's. And plenty of spells in the hand for our Witchcrafter player, which is great. So he will have plenty of discard fodder for Vare, but that's all he has is Vare. So you better hope our Infernoble player did not open up well. But he's going to go ahead and search Ogier. And he'll attempt to use Ogier's effect here. And let's see, will he shotgun the negate? No, he will not. Smart. I feel like oftentimes people who have 1 interruption, especially maybe more inexperienced players, will oftentimes throw that interruption out at the first chance they get. But sometimes, especially if you know the matchup, it's often, most always, just always better to hold on to that negate. So there's a sold. Pretty good time to use that negate there if you're gonna. And he's going to do exactly that, discarding the Witchcrafter Collaboration. And its effects will be negated, but he can still use the other effect of a soul here. It will be negated, but he can still send for cost, which is still pretty advantageous in this situation, because he can get access to something like Divine Sword of the Phoenix Blade. So I've done this a few times in the past playing Infernoble Knight, where my Assault will get negated, but I could still use a Divine Sword in the grave just because it's free discard fodder for things potentially like Oliver. So he's going to go ahead and use the Divine Sword here to banish what looks to be a Gearfried and a Fire Flint Lady. And speaking of Oliver, there it is. And now with this actual hand, he's actually still going to be able to do full combo. Because all you need is that tuner monster from Isolde, and then go right into Link Cross, generate those tokens, and you're in a really good spot. The only thing that makes things a little difficult right now is the fact that Oliver is a level 1. But if he's playing something like Formula Synchron in the extra deck, that can sort of be addressed. But it looks like he's just going to go right into Hulk and summon out that Deskbot 001. So being pretty resourceful here. Using that Assault, and speak of the devil, there's that Formula Synchron. You can use it to get a draw and then step right up into Martial Metal Marcher. And that's going to bring back Formula. And then we're going to see the Auroradon summon out 3 tokens. And we'll see that Despot, I imagine, hit the field 1 more time. It actually might not be the last time we see it, but we're going to see him Synchro for 7. There's Power Tool Dragon. And I think it's safe to say at this point, he's going to have full combo. He's got the Phoenix Blade set up with DDR. And no level 2 tuner engraved, but I don't know that he'll need it necessarily. We're going to see Colt Wing tribute off the Power Tool and the last remaining token. That's going to summon out 2 more tokens, and Despot 001 is going to hit the board for the 3rd time because why not? And here you can go ahead and access a Herald of the Arclight and potentially a level 6 synchro, or a level 5 synchro, yeah, with the remaining token and the formula. So a very resourceful combo here. Definitely an extremely different line of play than what you're used to seeing in a standard Infernoble combo, but still able to get him most of the way there. And he's going to triple Tactics Talent to follow everything up, and he's going to keep that Madame Vare in defense. at least for the time being. Now he's just got to find a way to get rid of it. So he is actually going to leave it in attack position, or put it into attack position. And we'll see if he can go ahead and apply enough pressure. We're going to see Phoenix Blade get activated. And yep, DDR is going to summon the Divine Phoenix Gearfried, the Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, and swinging with everything. And I believe that's going to be game. And Infernoble Knight taking the match there. And in game 3, the very interesting combo line. I did like that combo line. It was very, very different. And the triple tactics talent right there at the very end to seal the game with a very, very clutch DDR play, I must say. So, yeah, that's going to do it for this match. I hope you guys enjoyed. Witchcrafter, a very interesting deck. It seems like it needs a little bit more for it to be a little, like, just competitive, I guess. It does seem like it has, like, some pretty decent cards that can put up some interruption on the opponent's turn, but nothing really, you know, your current top contenders can't already deal with, especially when you have triple tactics talent. I believe he had it twice during this match, and I do apologize if I seemed a little clueless on what the Witchcrafter cards do, because I've never played against the deck, and if I have, I've forgotten about it, but I try my best, and I hope you guys were able to enjoy it still. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. And as always, Winterkill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And last but not least, a huge shout out goes to our Divine Level channel members here on YouTube, Academic Thick, Zors, and Cadillacs84. Thank you guys so much for continuing to generously support the channel. It means a lot. And again, thank you guys so much for the support.